Hey everyone, welcome back to part 2 of the review slash discussion. So, this is going to have some major spoilers in it. So, if you have not read Fallen Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes, I would not recommend watching this video unless you want to be spoiled. I do have a non-spoiler review that I will link down in the description below, so you can check that out if you haven't read this book yet. So yeah, if you haven't read it, leave now. I don't want to spoil you, but yeah, if you have, for those of you who have read it, let's get into the spoilers. So, like I was saying in my last video, the characters, the main characters, I really did not connect with much. I didn't have any strong feelings towards them one way or another. One character, which I did just remember, that I did actually have strong feelings towards, not positive though, very negative. I had very negative, strong feelings towards Aaron, and he is not in the book very much, so that's a good thing because I could not stand him, and I wanted him gone. So I'm glad he wasn't in here much. I sort of forgot about him because he doesn't have, like I said, he's not in here very much, so he doesn't have a really big role, but he does in the sense because everything that happens in here is because of what he did in the beginning with killing the wine seller's son. He sort of sets everything into motion and gets the plot going. So in that sense, he does have a big role, but he isn't seen much in this book. So that's why I sort of forgot about him, which is good because I don't like him. He was entitled and arrogant, and I just could not stand his character. As for Cleo, I did mention how she annoyed me with her decisions, and mainly because she not only put herself at risk, but she put others at risk as well. She put her best friend at risk, her best friend that went with her to Malaysia. He was at risk. Jonas could have easily killed him. Theon, she put at risk, which I already knew he was gonna die. I saw that right away. I was like, okay, he's gonna go after her, try to save her, and something's gonna happen. He's gonna end up dying. So I knew that was gonna happen, but she really just doesn't think things through, and she's lucky that she did have her friend and Theon there to sort of look after her, help her out, but she was ready to go back to Malaysia on her own, looking for these magic seeds, which I understand her motivation for going. I totally get it. I understand. But, she has no fighting skills. She can't really protect herself. And she relies on others to always save her. So I'm just thinking, at what point does she think it's a good idea to go back to the country where you witnessed this terrible event and the brother of the guy that was murdered threatened to kill you? At what point it seemed like a good idea to go off on your own and sneak out and try to go back there on your own is beyond me. Like I said, I understand her motivations for going. And I understand, her love for her sister. But it's like, really, if Theon never found you, and if your best friend wasn't there with you, you would have ended up being taken by Magnus to King Gaius, and he would have used you against your father to try and take over the kingdom, and you wouldn't have made it back to save your sister anyway. So it's like, I really do not get some of her thinking sometimes. It just, like I said, she kind of annoyed me. Anyway, Jonas, I really don't have much to say about Jonas. He's on his quest for revenge. I understand his brother was murdered, and he wants people to pay, and he sees Cleo and Aaron as entitled and snobs. So, I understand him. Don't really have much to say about him. I really, like I said, I don't really care one way or another whether he succeeded or not. I just didn't really connect with this character. Magnus, I did find him sort of creepy because of the fact that he's in love with his sister. And I get that they're not blood related, but he only just found that out. He's been in love with his sister his whole life. He only just found out that they're not actually blood siblings. And still, he grew up with her. He grew up with her and was treated as brother and sister. And yet, he falls in love with her somehow. That was kind of creepy to me. Lucia, I'll talk more about Lucia when I get into some of my predictions, because I do have some, I do want to talk about some of my predictions for the other books, because I've only read Fallen Kingdom so far, so I still have to read Rebel Spring and Gather in Darkness, and I think the fourth book comes out later this year. So, I still have to read those, so I do have some predictions on what might happen in those books, but I'll get to that in a minute. One thing, like I said in my other video, is a lot of things that happen in here was very predictable, and you can see them coming from a mile off. Like I said, Theon going off to save Cleo and dying. I saw that. And seriously, when he was in the battle with the two guards and he killed two of them, and Magnus was left, and he stopped and turned, and I was like, what the heck are you doing? This is how you're going to die. You're distracted by Cleo, your lover or whatever. That's gonna get you killed. And of course it did. Magnus came up and stabbed him right in the back, literally. So yeah, I pretty much saw that. Cleo having the cure the entire time, the cure for her sister, but then realizing it too late before she can save her sister. I was like, yep, saw that. Her dad dying in the battle, I pretty much saw that too. And I can see why all of this is happening too. Because I think what the author is trying to do is set it up to where, Cleo lost her sister, she lost her father, she lost Theon, the guy she was in love with, and I think all of this is meant to make her stronger in the books later on. I feel like everything she's going through and having to overcome, because now she's completely on her own by herself, having to figure out what to do, having to figure out how to take back her kingdom from King Gaius, and being completely alone in trying to do that. And so I think, all of her loss is what's really going to set up to make her a much stronger character, to show that, she can do things on her own. She doesn't have to always wait for someone else, especially a guy, to come and rescue her. Because that was one of the problems I had with her in this first book, was she was the stereotypical damsel in distress. Every time she was waiting for a guy to come and save her. Theon had to save her. Her best friend had to save her. Even at the end, in the battle, she was wanting Aaron to save her, the guy that she can't even stand. And at one point in this book, she said she wasn't going to let him push her around anymore, even if he does know the secret about her. She was going to stand up to him. Which she says that, but I really didn't see her do that, at least not in this book. Maybe she will in the future books, but she didn't in this one. And at the end, at the battle, she was thinking, well, I hope at least he'll save me or something like that. And I was like, really? You can't, you're a smart girl. I'm sure you're smarter than you give yourself credit for. I'm sure you can figure out a way out of the situation. Why are you relying so much on other people, especially guys, to come and save you? And so that was one thing that sort of annoyed me with her. But I think it'll make her stronger in the future books.